Hello and welcome back
God
to.
damn it. I thought it was going to work.
Hello and welcome to the Do Not Disturb Football Podcast. Nimmer is working on getting his camera up. I know you are used to seeing Nimmer, me, and Darian on the screen. We have another guest with us today. Instead of Darian, we have Hook just for a little while. Hook is our reigning fantasy football champion. Our fantasy season came to an end. Hopefully, we can get Nimmer's camera
Bro,
going.
I don't know what's happening. I really don't. I have to go
But
settings.
Hook, why don't you tell us how the fantasy championship went?
All right. First off, shout out to my wife and daughter back home who are currently watching this live on the TV. It was a weird year. I got ridiculed most of it early on, being called like a C plus B minus rated team. Ultimately, I took that personal. So every week I spent an hours a week just going for it. It's not about the money; it's just purely about the glory. And luckily, I came out on top as champion. Those last few weeks, those last few rounds there, I honestly should have given him like 2 weeks of scores to play against my single week, and maybe he would have had a better chance.
Okay.
I did him by arguably 85 points in the final round. I was sweating though still. 99-1 chance after like Thursday. I was still sweating.
Oh, man.
So, Nim, I'm sorry you got to put you on blast here. I wish your camera was on. I'd love to see your reaction.
I know. I wish we could
I'm
see you. Nimmer.
I'm trying.
So grateful for the win. Grateful for this league. Got a lot of advice from this podcast, so please subscribe if you can. From that, we're going to Louisville, Kentucky as part of our championship. The winner gets to pick. I'm looking forward to doing the Bourbon Trail and all those fun things it has to offer. Most importantly, I get my own room. So the true goal is to get a one master house with 9 different sets of it would be 4 to 5 cents a buck beds for everybody else. That's ultimately my goal. Probably not going to happen, but beggars can't be choosers. But feel honored to be champion. Feel honored to be on the podcast, and appreciate you guys having me on today.
We love to show some gratitude to the champions. Hook, you're on today. I'm trying to convince Sammy to come on tomorrow. She was the winner of our Pick'em League. So I'm trying to get her on the show tomorrow. Hook, it was great hearing from you. Hopefully we get Nimmer's camera up and then we can get his reaction. But for now, is there anything you want to say before you get out of here?
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. Best of luck and enjoy all the viewers. It's a great show.
See you in Louisville.
All right. Bye, guys.
See ya, Hook. Bro, I don't know what's happening with my camera. I'm so upset. I'm like sweating right now.
Well, while we're waiting for Nimmer's camera to show up, we will talk about some of the things going on in the league today. I'm just checking the YouTube feed. It looks funny. But
so dumb. I wanted freaking our first guest.
It always got to happen with the guest, you know? That's just how it's got to go.
And then I don't know why. Camera device settings.
And I don't think we're live on TikTok either.
No, we're not, but it's because I can't even figure out my camera, so.
Okay. Well, I'll give you some time to figure that out. A lot of things have happened since we last saw you on this show. I'm having a baby boy. I just found that out over the past 2 weeks. The Broncos, they have made a return to the playoffs after 8 long years of not being in the playoffs. Russell Wilson, he's turning into a late season pumpkin. There is so much going on within the NFL today. Playoffs are here. They are set. There's a lot of great matchups. What I'm interested to see this weekend, I don't know if it's this weekend. I think it's in 2 weeks is when the wild card round starts. Let me see. Let me make sure I'm correct on that.
It's this weekend.
It's this weekend.
Yeah.
But it is this weekend. I thought they were giving us One more week. Okay. So it's this weekend. I think the game I am the most interested to watch is the Steeler Ravens game. Mostly because you have the Ravens, who I think have won 4 in a row, at least 4 out of the last 5. I can't remember. And the Steelers, who have lost 4 in a row coming into the playoffs. I think it's going to be a really interesting matchup. There's a lot of stats that say Lamar, this is a bad matchup for Lamar. There's also a lot of stats saying the Steelers offense, how are they going to do it? How are they going to perform if they haven't been doing it the past 4 weeks?
Oh my god.
Very interesting to see. The other games that are in line, the Texans and the Chargers, I think that is a interesting matchup. Texans, I said probably week 4, maybe, is when I said the Texans are the most overrated team in the league, and they continue to struggle after I said that. And looks like we may have Nimmer here.
No. I don't know where to put my camera at.
What is this camera that you're using?
This is my work camera.
Oh, okay. Maybe just back up a little bit. Oh, that should work.
There we go.
That works.
All right.
Okay.
Should we
So-
call it back in?
With the baby, I think it's probably fine.
All right.
Just leave him be. There is Nimmer. We are a full
Freaking
go
hate
now.
technology, man.
We 2 weeks off. There's probably going to be some sort of red flag sitting there that we're not even thinking about. And today it was Nimmer's camera. But let me get your thoughts on that matchup, the Steelers and the Ravens. How are you feeling ahead of this game as a Steeler fan?
Not good. Not good. And that's gonna be part of my rage cage tomorrow. Honestly, going into the playoffs, it's really about who has the most momentum, and that's why you really don't see a lot of the teams that sit out that last week go really far in the playoffs, because they're, I don't want to say it's a rust, but I feel like the momentum kind of carries into the playoffs. And so the Steelers' momentum is just at an all time low. And everybody that we've lost to, besides the Bengals, I guess, are in the playoffs, and we're probably going to face them in the playoffs, excluding the Eagles. So it's not good. I mean, I know Lamar doesn't have a good record against the Steelers, but my Raven fan brother also pointed out that that Lamar has only been like truly healthy one time in Baltimore before the season. So he was very confident last time we played in Baltimore, and then this time we're also going to be playing in Baltimore. So I don't know. The momentum is not with us. We have so much to just work on, and it's not good. Not good at all.
Well, why don't you throw out that graphic with the playoff matchups? I was going to react to week 18, but it was kind of a wash for a lot of teams. So I think probably what we're more interested in is the matchups here for the playoffs. You have, we'll start in the NFC. Lions have that first round bye. Huge for them. Dan Campbell just said before we came on the show that he expects running back David Montgomery to return from his injury by that round. So that'll be huge for the Lions. The Vikings and the Rams. Rams were in a predicament where they either try to win the game against Seattle and get a better seeding, or you sit your starters, risk losing the game, and then end up playing a team like the Vikings or the Lions, and it ended up being the Vikings. So
I was kind of confused about that, because if aren't the Rams the 3 seed?
I'm not sure what
I think they're the
actual
Rams are the
seedings are.
3 seed, and then the Bucks are the 4 seed. Commanders are the 5th seed. Vikings are 6, and then Packers are 7. So then if they won, they would be second?
Well, what happened was Lions and the Vikings were playing for the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
So because the Vikings lost, they're now not a division winner, like they're a wild card,
Yeah.
even though they're 14-3.
Well, I meant the Rams. Like, with the Rams losing, how does that affect their seed?
If they would have won, I think they would have played the Commanders,
Really?
and the Bucks would have went. I think would have went against the Vikings.
Mm.
So I think you would probably want to play the Commanders instead of the Vikings.
Yeah.
However, the Rams, when they're healthy, they can play anybody. So
True.
it's an interesting matchup. Commanders playing the Buccaneers, Jaden Daniels versus Baker Mayfield. That's going to be a really interesting game. The Packers and the Eagles, it looks like the Packers are going to be playing without Christian Watson. He tore his ACL. He's done for the season and probably part of next season as well. And then Jordan Love also went down with an injury to his hand. It looks like he may miss the game. I don't think there's an official word on it yet, but they're even saying that Jalen Hurts is still in concussion protocol. So could be a Taylor McKee or Kenny Pickett versus what's his face from the Packers. I can't remember the backup's name.
Not Willis.
Malik Willis.
Willis.
That could be the matchup there, which would be interesting. Hopefully it's...
Can you imagine? That would be wild.
That would suck.
That would suck.
That would be the NFL's worst nightmare. In the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs have their first round bye. That was my pick to win the Super Bowl this year. By the way, I said Chiefs Lions. They're both the number 1 seed, so we'll see how that goes. The Chargers and the Texans are playing Steelers, Ravens, and then Broncos and the Bills. So, Nimra, I'll ask you, what do you think about these playoff matchups? Do you see any upsets on the horizon? Do you see any beatdowns on the horizon? What do you think is going to happen?
I think it really, the biggest question mark I feel like is the Packers and the Eagles. I think that the Eagles are going to go really far looking at the NFC. Vikings maybe, Rams no, Commanders no, Bucks no, Packers I don't see. So it's really between the Lions, Eagles, and Vikings. I think Lions are pretty hurt, but they proved me wrong in the Week 18. Do I think that there's going to be any upsets? I think that the Steelers might upset, maybe. I think the Steelers really have their only shot. Maybe the Broncos. I saw this stat that like the Broncos are the Broncos defense are the number 1 defense that prevents running quarterbacks from running. So that might give Josh Allen a little bit of a problem. Other than that, I really don't see any other upsets. Upsets meaning like that they are underdogs, not like the seeding upsets. Because I think like the Vikings are a lower seed than the Rams, and I think they're gonna win. The Bucks and Commanders, that's gonna be tough. But in the Chargers against the Texans, I feel like I can see the Chargers beating the Texans. But
Tampa's favored in the Washington Tampa game.
Interesting. Yeah. I wonder.
Right now they are.
But yeah, so I don't see any. But do I see any blowouts? I can see the Vikings blowing out the Rams. I could see that happening. I can see the Bills and the Broncos. The Bills blowing out the Broncos. Do I think it's gonna happen? No. But can I see it? Yes. I feel like those are the only 2 blowouts that I can see happening in the wild card weekend. What about you?
I think that the Chargers and Texans could potentially be not a blowout, but a lopsided game. I think the Chargers are going to beat them pretty handedly. Just because I like their defense going up against that offense. They've been struggling with protecting C.J. Stroud all year. You have Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa there. Really good defense in a lot of advanced stats. So that is one game I think could be a little lopsided. Like you said, the Vikings and Rams, I still think it's going to be a relatively close game. I would say maybe Vikings by 10.
Yeah.
I think the Commanders will upset the Buccaneers. I don't think the Buccaneers are going to just watching how they played the Saints. I don't think they're going to play very well in the playoffs. I think they're feeling pretty tight right now about kind of the way they're playing and the talent that they have. So I'm going to say the Commanders upset the Buccaneers. Steelers, Ravens, I have no idea how that game's going to go. I think it's, I'm going to be glued to the TV for that one. It's going to be a really interesting matchup. I know Big Ben is taking the Steelers, but I mean, that doesn't really say much. He played for the Steelers. So
Yeah.
Broncos, Bills, I don't really know how it's going to go. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a contested game. I think I'm going to say the Bills win by 10 points.
Yeah.
Hopefully the Broncos were to come out with an upset. That'd be pretty cool. Then we'd be on to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
The biggest upset I think I really want is the Rams to beat the Vikings.
That would be cool.
Because then if the Rams beat the Vikings and the Chargers win, then they'll have to be. So if the Chargers win, and the Bills and the Ravens lose, right? Yeah. So if the Chargers win, but then the Ravens and Bills would have to lose, and then SoFi would have 2 games in one weekend. The SoFi Stadium.
Yeah.
That would be funny.
Yeah.
That would be wild.
You have to replace the turf within 10 hours of each game.
Exactly. Can you imagine? That would be wild. That would be wild.
But a lot of really interesting matchups. How do you think the 1 seeds are feeling right now?
I think the Lions are feeling ecstatic that they actually have a week to kind of rest, especially because they're riddled with injuries and stuff like that. But I think the Chiefs took too much time off. I think 2 weeks, and then you have to play for 2 weeks, and then you're going to have, if they go to the Super Bowl, I mean, playing after 2 weeks is a lot. So I think that was, they should have played at least like the first quarter maybe or something, just to kind of get the body moving and stuff like that. But I think the Chiefs, plus you know, the whole 3-peat pressure and all that type of stuff. So the Chiefs, I feel like, are starting to feel a little bit more pressure. But yeah, so I feel like the Lions are happy, but the Chiefs are kind of like, are starting to like get into their own heads.
Interesting. I think the Lions, I'll tell you, I think the Lions are relieved, kind of like you said. They've been dealing with injuries all season. It's going to be really, really nice for them to have David Montgomery back, if he is back for that game in the divisional round. Their offense looks a lot different when you have both those running backs healthy. And I think we saw against the Vikings in Week 18 that they are still looking to blow you out and embarrass you if you are coming to Detroit. Even on the road, they were embarrassing some people, but coming to Detroit, they want to put 40 points up on everyone and have them leave questioning who they are. The Chiefs, you know, I got to see them. I watched them live and in person on Christmas Day. I would say against the Steelers, they had one goal. That was to win handedly. They did that. They took care of business and they got out of there. And they said, we know what we're capable of. We're going to rest our starters, let the Broncos in because we don't want to play the Bengals in the playoffs. And I think they're going to go on a tear, and I think they're going to win the Super Bowl.
And I hope you're wholeheartedly wrong. But how was the game? How was the stadium? Like, I forgot to ask you about that.
Yeah. It felt completely different, like the buzz in the air, because I went there during the preseason, and then we were like really close to the field during the preseason game, and then we went to this regular season game where a lot was on the line for the Steelers. You could feel the buzz in the air. There was like a whole different electricity that you could almost reach out and grab. Christmas Day, there was a fight that happened behind me. I was a little shocked that happened. I was like, it's Christmas. but there's this Chiefs fan. I hear a couple seats behind me. He goes, "Don't touch me." And I turn around, and he's up in the Steelers fan's face. And then I'm not sure what happened. There was like a group of 4 Steelers fans, and then you had 2 Chiefs fans. One was a grown man, one was a little boy, and then some like woman, I think, or something got into this altercation from a row behind them or something. And there was, in the Steeler fan group, there was 2 guys and a girl and another guy. And I don't know what happened, but the girl that was in the Steeler group, she reached her hand over and tried to slap someone. And then this burly guy that was in the Steeler group had that Chiefs fan in a headlock for a second, and I think got one punch in, and then they stopped. It was a very like planned, let's not get caught by security type of fight. That was beautiful. I was like, hey, you guys did that really well. I don't know how you did that, but at least you're not getting no. I did have a Broncos jersey on though.
Oh shit.
I did have a Broncos jersey on, and I turned around and I said, hey, let's ride, baby. And some people laughed, but some people laughed, but yeah, that was what would happen. And then I think it was in the third quarter, I have my pregnant wife. She's telling me, hey, I'm like really hungry. And it turns into, I'm really hungry to like, I'm about to grab you by the shirt and tear your fingers off. I'm so hungry, so I was like, okay, I'll go get the food. I thought I went at a good time. It was like mid to late third quarter. The line for the food wasn't very long. Took an hour and 10 minutes or something like that to get the food. Missed Renegade. But Sammy told me, she was like, we were down 19 at that point when they did Renegade. Like, it was pretty sad. So I guess I didn't miss on too much with that. And she got to eat. I got her some water. I got 2 beers. It was a win-win. And I was watching the game from the line, and it started getting worse and worse. And I was like, well, it's a lot warmer where I'm standing right now.
That's funny. That sucks that you missed Renegade, but I understand. We were down by 19, so I'm sure it wasn't. It would have been better in like a Ravens,
right,
atmosphere or something. But that's cool though. I'm glad you enjoyed the game though.
It was fun. My sister DM'd me on Instagram afterwards, and she said, how cute, too bad they can't beat us, because she's a Chiefs fan since she started living in Kansas City for 4 years or whatever it is. And I was like, you realize I don't give a shit about the Steelers, right?
Tell her to come see me then. I'll definitely DM her back with a couple friendly words.
But coach firings, this was something that happened around the league today, and in the past couple of days. Jerod Mayo and Antonio Pierce, the head coach for the Patriots with Jerod Mayo, and the head coach for the Raiders with Antonio Pierce. Those guys were both fired after 1 season. Mayo was 4-13 this year. Pierce was 4-13 as well, 9-17 overall. And then Doug Peterson from the Jaguars, he was also fired. He was 22-29 overall. That one was pretty predictable. I don't think anyone thought Peterson was going to be the coach again for the Jaguars. But what's your reaction to the Patriots firing Mayo and the Raiders firing Pierce after one season?
I mean, this is a little bit of my rage cage, but I guess I'll direct that more towards the Steelers. But I think that people need to, GMs and owners and fans, honestly, need to, number one, relax. Number two, not everything is the head coach's fault. The Patriots don't have one Pro Bowler. Is that Mayo's fault? No. You hired Mayo as hopefully a long-term deal, and then you're going to fire him after one season? But I think there was a little bit of hopeful that Vrabel is going to replace Mayo, so that's one reason why they fired him, so then they could start interviewing and whatnot. But nevertheless, I think that they should have gave Mayo a little bit more of an opportunity instead of just been like, all right, you're done. You didn't get us to the Super Bowl, so you're like, well, their team is so bad. And it's same with the Raiders. The one thing I think that the Pierce firing is a lot worse than the Mayo firing, because Antonio Pierce is a diehard Raider. He loves the Raiders. He through and through. Now, I'm not saying Mayo doesn't like the Patriots, but the Raiders have that specific hard-nosed culture Raiders. That Oakland Raiders. He was an Oakland Raider. And for the Raider fans that are listening, you understand. But, so trying to find that culture of this is what a Raider needs to be. Just like how Campbell is like, this is what a Lion needs to be. The fact that they just let him go is insane. Patriots, if you're firing Mayo for Vrabel, that I kind of get it. But then, the Raiders, you literally have no backup plan. You're just firing him just because. Number one, you've never had a quarterback with him. Number two, you got rid of his both offensive weapons. Now you have zero offensive weapons besides Brock Bowers, I guess you just drafted. And then the defense has Max Crosby. And then the other D tackle, I forgot what his name was. But it's how do you expect to win? You don't have any talent. That's my thing. It's you're going to punish the head coach, or you're going to hire a head coach and they're just going to turn it around immediately. That's not going to happen. The quarterback that they're going to draft is not going to turn around their franchise. Their quarterback, their head coach isn't going to turn around. They need a lot of help. They don't just need one or two pieces. They don't just need a better culture in the locker room. They don't need just a better quarterback. They need all of it. And I thought the culture in the locker room was good, to my understanding. It's just so frustrating. I wanted them to keep Pierce so bad. And when they announced it today when he got fired, I was so mad. I was like, what are they doing? This is why your team will never be good, because if your owner or your GM does dumb crap like this. So frustrating.
Yeah, like you said with Mayo, I think there has been some conversations with Mike Vrabel. Maybe not directly. Maybe it's like a thing where people around the organization have said hey, Vrabel's interested. And I think that was probably what made them say, okay, we're done with Mayo. We want Vrabel. And they interviewed two coaches today that were not named Vrabel, but I do think they will get right to Vrabel here soon. And I think he's going to be the next head coach of the Patriots. I like Vrabel a lot. With the way that the Patriots are, that is a really tough roster to come into and kind of change overnight. I like Drake May, obviously. but they still have a lot of missing pieces. So you're really going to have to nail the draft and maybe trade for a couple pieces if you're really going to want to compete in that AFC East. But
Hold on, I'm
that's
sorry to
why
cut you off. Nabil wants to come say hi. Come say hi to YouTube.
Hi.
hey, how are you?
Good.
It's good to see
What's
you.
your favorite football team, Bill?
The Lions.
Why do you like the Lions?
Because Sonic and Knuckles is in it.
Alright. Do you want to say your YouTube channel?
Uh,
Say your YouTube channel, Bill.
my YouTube channel.
Yeah. What's your YouTube channel?
I changed into Nabil the TikToker.
YouTube Nabil the TikToker. Go follow him. Alright.
Bye. Oh, by the way, Nimmer, I'm going to close my door because I'm going to record my Roblox video.
Okay, sounds good. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Bye.
Alright. What were you saying?
So I just finished with Mayo. So
Yeah.
Pierce, Antonio Pierce. I feel really bad for.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I feel really bad for Antonio Pierce. I kind of had a whole monologue for him to start this season. Really, I thought Gardner Minshew was going to be better than he was, and he was terrible. And really, that's kind of like the hard part about seeing him getting fired is you bring in, your organization brings in Gardner Minshew, and you have Aiden O'Connell as the backup. Gardner Minshew starts out, he's terrible. He's one of the last in the league in like all these different stats. He's not very good. You bench him, you go to Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell gets injured. You go back to Gardner. Gardner gets injured, and then you're back with O'Connell. Both of them aren't worth anything. So really, to me, Antonio Pierce did not get a fair shake here. And maybe they look at where they're at in the draft. Maybe they think, well, we're not getting a quarterback this year. What's the point? Like, even if we gave Antonio Pierce a good quarterback in the draft, like, would that save it? And if I guess maybe in their minds, if a quarterback's not an option this year, because really everyone's only looking at Cam Ward and Shadur Sanders, and they're probably going to be gone within the first two picks. Maybe that's their reasoning of firing Antonio Pierce. I don't agree with it. I really think you should have gave him more of a chance. I hope he goes to a different team, coaches up the defense, and has a little resurgence. I really hope he does.
Well, and that's my thing. It's like you're upset about your offense, but your head coach is a defensive-minded person. So
Right.
you're going to punish your defensive-minded person, your defensive mind, because your offense stinks.
Yeah.
So, like, what does that make sense? What, you want an offensive you want an offensive head coach? If that's the case, I get it. It kind of, but then just get an offensive coordinator. You know what I mean? Like, there's not, especially because I feel like there's not too many good head coaches that are coming out. I mean, maybe Mike McCarthy. I don't see the Commanders' offensive coordinator Cliff. Cliff. I don't see him moving. I think that he's gonna stay. Like, it's just like, what are we doing? Like, that's, I mean, it's crazy. But even like Robert Saleh, like, you're mad at your offense, and you get rid of your defensive minded head coach because the offense stinks. Like, what? That doesn't make sense. What are we talking about?
A lot of things today don't make a lot of sense. The Bengals fired their defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo, or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
To me, I think you should fire Zach Taylor, but you just fire the DC. And to me, like, the defense isn't the only reason you lost to New England to start the year. There was a lot of problems on the offense, and that loss to New England is what got you out of the playoffs. And all the Bengals fans are saying, Broncos, are you really happy with this? It's like, yeah, hell yeah, we're happy with this. What the hell are you talking about? Why don't you keep asking that on your couch? We're in the playoffs. What do you mean, are we happy with this? Yes, it's been 8 years. Like we're going to have some come together moment like, yeah, we actually probably should have just, made it really close with the Chiefs no. We blew the Chiefs out. It was their second team. They wanted us to win. We wanted to win. And guess where you're at? Don't lose to the Patriots next time. Okay?
Yeah. Or not even just the Patriots. I mean, like August or September, they didn't do good. They weren't that well. October, they didn't do well. November, they didn't do well. Then December, they're like, oh, okay, you know what? Let's step it up. Like you can't just win in December and expect to make the playoffs. Like,
I mean,
what?
Every game they had, it was a close game.
Yeah, but they didn't finish.
Yeah. Well, that's a sign of a bad team. If every single game is close and you're losing the majority of them, that's a bad team.
Exactly. And it's not even that. It's like, all right, how are we going to lose? How do we lose close games? Or how do we win close games? It comes down to coaching. I think that's the biggest reason why teams win close games. The biggest team right now who's won the most close games are the Chiefs, and they have arguably the best coach in the NFL right now. Yep. So then you're going to get mad at I think both of them should have got fired, to be completely honest. The Bengals defense is the reason why they didn't do well at all. So yeah, the defensive coordinator has a lot to do with it. But then at the same time, okay, well, the defensive coordinator didn't do well, but your offense kept you in the game. So, but what happened, Joe, like, you guys didn't close out the games. And it wasn't even like, well, we didn't get the ball last or whatever. No, it was because you guys didn't execute on a 2-point conversion to beat the Bengals. You guys got, I guess the Chiefs is kind of a little bit different because of a BS call. But, like, things like that. It's like, you guys gave up the game. It's not that you guys lost the game. You guys, I mean, yeah. I don't know. It's crazy.
Well, with Zach Taylor, I'm like, you have Jamar Chase, top 3 wide receiver in this league. You have Joe Burrow, top 3 quarterback in this league on your team. You're an offensive-minded guy, and you can't win with these two guys? Mm-hmm. Like, half the teams in the league would kill for those guys on their team.
Just one of them. You know what I mean? Like, the Raiders will kill to have Joe Burrow on their team without Jamar Chase. You know what I mean? And you have both of them. It's wild.
What does that comment say? Oh, Darian. Darian's in the comments.
Do you think they should trade May or Milton? Milton popped off and looked good against the Bills.
I would trade Milton.
Yeah, I would definitely keep May, 100%.
If you can have someone overreach on Milton, I would trade Milton. I know that he looks like the shiny new toy right now. Let's keep in mind that was against a second team defense that he did that against. He's had really good moments against the Bills' second team defense and in preseason games. So I would let another team give me, a third, second round pick for Milton, and then I would say, okay, you can have Milton.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't know. Just this whole season, like this whole time, getting rid of coaches is just so frustrating because it's like the bad teams are the one that's getting rid of coaches. It's like, why not keep your coach and improve your roster? So I
don't know. Darren said, "Boy was dotting him up." Yeah, he was. I mean, he looked good, but I like May more. I think May is going to be long term the answer, not Milton.
Yeah.
And I mean, you would think that's what the Patriots think too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the Patriots do in the offseason. Like, yeah, you just
Yeah.
fired your coach, but then what? You're gonna hire Vrabel and then keep the exact same roster with the most salary cap? You know what I mean? Like how, like go get
There's
Tyreek, go get Higgins, go get a solid receiver, and help
there
me
was
out.
rumors. There's rumors that Vrabel is going to bring Josh McDaniels with him
Interesting.
as the offensive coordinator.
Oh, there goes that. That would be wild. I don't know.
So
I don't know how I feel. How do you feel about that?
I think McDaniels is a good offensive coordinator. He's a cheater. We know that. Was caught twice with that film gate thing that he was doing. Once with the Patriots and once with the 6-0 Broncos. So there is that part, but I do think he's a good offensive coordinator. I don't think you win a bunch of Super Bowls or on a staff with a bunch of Super Bowls and you're not a very good coordinator. I don't think he's a good head coach, but as an offensive coordinator, if you have Vrabel's kind of a defensive mind, special teams minded guy. I think that's a good combination.
Yeah. So I agree, but I disagree. Like I think that, I mean, when you have the best head coach in NFL history, one of the best coaches of NFL history, and the best quarterback in NFL history, it's hard not to do really really well. You know what I mean? So like, I wouldn't go McDaniel's. I just think that he has so much ego issues, and I think in order to be successful in today's league, you need to look at your personnel and say, all right, this is how Drake May plays. We're going to customize our playbook to how Drake May can succeed.
Mhm.
Instead of saying, this is the playbook, you need to learn it or else you're out. And that's how I think Josh McDaniels is, his mindset is. And he's like, this is my playbook. I won 2 or 3 Super Bowls with this playbook. It works because it worked 10 years ago. I don't know. I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't like that decision.
On the flip side, the Raiders, there's been a report that Brady will be involved in this next hiring of their head coach. So that'll be interesting. Like you said, there's not a ton of really good head coaches out there. I know the number one target right now is Ben Johnson from the Lions. I think, only one team's going to get him. So it's your chances of getting him is not going to be very good. And Ben Johnson has also been kind of like a guy that's very cautious about taking a job. He had a job lined up last year that he didn't take. So I don't really know where you go for a head coach. Like, I'm not really sure who the quality head coaches are that are out there right now. I like Vrabel. Ben Johnson, we don't really know how he is as a head coach.
I would say Mike McCarthy's a good coach.
Yeah. He's technically still with the Cowboys, but
I thought this was his contract year.
well, so yeah, let's talk about that next. McCarthy, he has been in the spotlight for maybe a trade in the coaching department, or he can leave the Cowboys. There's a little bit of drama going on right now. The Chicago Bears, they asked permission to interview Dallas Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy. The Cowboys ended up denying that interview request. McCarthy will have the option to interview once his negotiating window has expires. That'll be January 14th. That is next Tuesday, I think, or next week. Yeah. So he'll have the option to, if the Cowboys don't bring him back, which don't really know. Honestly, I don't really know if they're denying his interview with the Bears. Maybe there's a chance they bring him back. Seems like that partnership between Jerry Jones and McCarthy isn't the worst. He kind of seems like his puppet. But what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, if I was Mike McCarthy, I would want to get the hell out of there. You know what I mean? And if if the Cowboys really want me, they better pay me the highest paid head coach. In my opinion, if I was him or if I was his agent, I'm like, listen, he really doesn't want to be a Cowboy anymore, but there's always a price to have him come back, and that price would be $100 million a year, or whatever the number is. But it would be like that much bigger, because there's no salary cap on head coaches, so it's not like they can't not do it, you know. So, and then the thing is that the Cowboys, and I think they're starting to see it a lot more, especially this year. It's not just like a head coaching job. There's so much baggage that comes along with being a Cowboys coach. Like, yeah, there is a lot of rewards, because if you bring the Cowboys to one Super Bowl, you're automatically first ballot Hall of Famer head coach. But then you also have to worry about Jerry Jones, and then just all of the distractions and all of the media and all of America's team and all that type of stuff. So if I was Mike McDaniels, I'd want to go to Chicago 100%. I'd be like, listen,
Mike McCarthy.
What did I say? Mike McDaniels.
Yeah.
If I was Mike McCarthy, I would want to go. I think the best place for him would be either Chicago or the Jets.
The Jets.
Bring
You know,
back
he's
Aaron for another year, and then
good luck with that. Yeah, Mike McCarthy, I think he's a good head coach. I wouldn't say he's above average. I wouldn't say he's exceptional. I wouldn't even say he's solid. But, you know, you look at the situation they had this year with the Cowboys. We told you that they were going to be bad. They ended up going 7-10, which isn't the worst record, really, with Cooper Rush playing a lot of the games. So he's not the worst head coach. They've been in the playoffs numerous times with the Cowboys. He had numerous playoff appearances with the Green Bay Packers. One Super Bowl win back in whatever that was, 2011, 2010, something like that. So he has a Super Bowl under his belt. I think everyone wants to coach in Chicago right now. I think if you ask a lot of the head coaches that are on the chopping block or like on the waiting table, waiting for a job, I think most of them would pick Chicago just because their defense is really good. They have a good amount of weapons that are at their disposal. They have a quarterback that is supposed to be a franchise quarterback that's yet to be seen. But you have a lot of pieces in place there, and that doesn't really come around often. Their O-line is terrible, but you have a lot of pieces in place there. I don't know if Mike McCarthy would be a great fit there. He would probably take them from, I don't remember what the Bears record was this year. It wasn't very good. I want to say they won 4 games maybe.
No, I feel like it was more than that. 6?
I know they just beat the Packers, so that was a good win for them. They were 5-12.
5.
So I think if you bring Mike McCarthy in, you go from a 5-12 team to maybe a 8-9 team. I don't really think he pushes the needle that much.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that he's a good offensive mind, and that's exactly what Caleb Williams needs. That being said, they are now, after this year, in the hardest division in football. So you're gonna have to do something in order to compete.
Yeah, definitely.
As a head coach. But like you said, I mean, the Bears are definitely the prime landing spot because they have there's no rebuilding. All the other teams that need a head coach, you're going to have to literally rebuild the whole entire team. So.
Yeah. Yeah, they have cornerstones on their roster with Jalen Johnson, one of the better cornerbacks in this league. I really like their slot receiver. I can't remember what his name is. Kyler something. He's really good. And some of the pieces they have on the offense, really, DeAndre Swift showed out for them this year. He was a good pickup for them. I know that they were looking at Ben Johnson, and then Poles, the GM, said something about how he wasn't like completely sold on Ben Johnson or something. He said something weird that I was like, why would you say that? But it'll be interesting to see who ends up in Chicago next year.
Definitely.
Tyreek Hill. So he made some headlines, not for very good reasons. Kind of has been a thing for him recently. He said after the game against the Jets where they lost and they were playing with Tyler Huntley as the quarterback, he said, "I'm opening the door. I'm out, bro. It was great playing here, but at the end of the day, I got to do what's best for my career. I'm not too much of a competitor, or I'm too much of a competitor to be just out there." So this comes after signing a pretty large deal just a couple of years ago. He is under contract through 2026. A team would have to trade for him. Their owner, or it was either their owner or GM, came out today and said that they just had a meeting recently and Tyreek did not ask for a trade in that meeting. Never, what is your reaction to all of this?
I think this is just kind of getting a little bit overblown. I think Mike McDaniels came out and said like the most accurate thing. I think Tyreek Hill was just very frustrated in this year. Realized that it was over. I think he mentioned that this is his first time not making the playoffs. So he's a very emotional guy. I mean, this whole season has been very emotional with the ups and downs and all of that type of stuff. So I think he was just kind of being emotional. I think he was just blowing off some steam and just letting random words fly. I don't think he's gonna go anywhere. I don't think. I mean, and as a Dolphin, if some Dolphins fans are like, well, we didn't win with him, we're not gonna win. We might win without him. So like, it doesn't really. Didn't make that big of an impact on that team where they. Without Tyreek Hill, they're gonna make the playoffs, or they're gonna miss the playoffs, or that sort of thing. So I think he was just being very emotional, and I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't really know. When I watched the interview, it seemed like, because he said at first, "I'm opening the door," and he went from that to, "I'm out, bro." So it seemed like he was kind of like teetering with saying that or not, and then he just said it, which poor media training there. But I don't really know. I don't really know what's going to happen. I think we see with the Dolphins when Tua is healthy and everyone's in that system playing, they can be an efficient offense. They can be a good team. They have some good pieces on the defense as well. But it really all falls on Tua's shoulders. And unfortunately for the Dolphins, they just signed him to a massive deal this past offseason. And within the first year, he goes out there, gets another concussion, contemplates retirement, has this whole thing. Only 1 year into this brand new contract that he just signed. And I think if you're Tyreek, you're a little frustrated with the fact that, yeah, it's great with Tua. Like, I get the ball when Tua's in and we're playing in the system and we're all having fun. But when Tua gets hurt once or twice or three times a year, and I'm working with Tyler Huntley or Skyler, whatever his name was from K-State, and Mike White, and like all these other quarterbacks that have played for the Dolphins, when Tua goes down, like, I would be a little frustrated too. I kind of see why he wants to get out of there. However, like, I know it's been a big thing that Dolphins fans have been saying, like, we haven't won with him, so like, why does it matter? Let him walk, or trade him, like, get him out of here. you're going to have a lot of that. And you're going to have a lot of people say, well, you could have had 3 more Super Bowls if you would have just taken a pay cut with the Chiefs. So not a good look for Tyreek to be this superstar wide receiver, get the money, and then before your contract's up, say, I want out, trade me. And then really he's not even saying that with the GM or the owner. So
Yeah, and I understand being a competitive person. I'm a competitive person. But then what does this also show about your fans? Like, you only want to be there if you're winning. But then when you're losing, you're out. Or in the locker room, I mean. You know what I mean? Like, there has to be some type of adversity. There's some type of adversity to every team. So then what? We have one bad season and you're out because you didn't get the ball a lot, because we didn't win enough games, because we didn't make the playoffs. So what? You're just going to be out? Like, I don't want that as a teammate. What the hell? I don't know. He's just shooting himself in the foot, and it's just bad.
If you had to pick one team that would risk it all and trade for Tyreek, who would it be?
I mean, I feel like the team that needs receivers, I would go the Patriots would be more realistic, but I would also think the Chargers. The Chargers with Tyreek would be great. With and Ladd McConkey, Ladd and Quentin Johnson, who ended up becoming really good at the end of the season. Like, with adding Tyreek there, that'd be cool. I think those two teams really, really need a receiver.
Yeah.
So.
The teams that I'm kind of eyeing down this offseason just to see what they're going to do, because I think there's a lot of teams with interesting off seasons here that they can make moves in advance, or they could sit there and just waste for another year. I am interested to see what the 49ers do going into this offseason, because you have to pay Brock Purdy or not. And there's a lot of conversation, a lot of arguments saying don't pay him, do pay him. So you get to pick which side you're on for that. You have the way that the season just ended. I could see the Niners packaging one of their receivers, whether that's Deebo Samuel, who I would trade right now, or Brandon Ayuk, and a pick or two for Tyreek. That would be the team that I would think would go after Tyreek Hill.
That would be interesting. And pay Brock?
I don't know what you're going to do about Brock.
So, like, if you trade, right? If they trade for Tyreek, let's say they trade Deebo and a handful of picks. Now they are responsible for that contract, right? So then they have to pay the remainder of that contract, or do they restructure the contract and whatnot?
I think it usually can come down to like an agreement between both teams who's going to pay the contract or not.
Okay. So they can either do like the Russell Wilson thing where the Broncos are paying the majority of the thing,
right?
Or it can just be like, here with the player, here's your contract,
right?
Like the Randy Moss thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think that would be a team to keep an eye on if there is a team out there that's going to trade for Tyreek. I do wonder if it would be the Niners. That's kind of where my mind went when I saw his.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
His quotes.
Because then, like, you get a better Deebo essentially, because Deebo is famous for those.
Yeah, just imagine running those plays with Tyreek instead.
That'd be wild.
It'd be very interesting.
The Niners would be, oh my god,
it would be insane.
CMC, Fred
Kittle.
Warner, Trent Wilson, Kittle. Oh my god, that team would be insane.
That would be an insane team. And Pearsall looked like he was putting it together too. And Juwan Jennings, I like Jennings a lot.
Mm-hmm. Jeez, that would be crazy.
But
do you think that they should pay Purdy? I mean, I know this is more off-season talk and stuff like that, but
I feel
like we kind of talked about this a little bit during the podcast.
It is. It's a really tough It's a really tough situation. I don't think you pay him top dollar. I don't think you pay him in the top 10. I don't think he deserves that. So if that's what he's demanding, then I would let him walk.
So you let him walk, and then what?
And then you draft a quarterback.
Ah,
And you
that-
better
see, that's
you
the
better hope
thing.
you hit on that.
This is the like the perfect time for quarterbacks to get,
Or maybe,
because there's
maybe-
no. Go ahead.
sorry,
No, go ahead.
maybe you let Kirk Cousins become available and you bring in Kirk Cousins, even though he looked shot.
Nah, I was gonna say you go from Brock Purdy to Kirk Cousins, but that would be an option if you get paid top dollar. If he's demanding top dollar, because the thing is, what's interesting about this whole Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, Justin, like all these quarterbacks that are available, there's literally only, I would say, out of the top tier quarterbacks, people like I would be happy that my team would get, probably be Sam Darnold and Brock Purdy that are free agents. The Vikings are probably going to franchise tag Sam Darnold. And then with Brock Purdy, like, the Niners are kind of like, all right, you're not going to pay me top dollar. Who's going to be your quarterback then? Dobbs is going to be your quarterback. You know what I mean? So it's like they're kind of handcuffed to say, all right, well, what, we have to sign you. Like, we have to give you the amount that you're looking for. So I don't know. But as I said, in my opinion, if I was John Lynch, I'd be like the GM for the Niners. I would be like, listen, we'll pay you what you want. But if we do that, we're going to have to get rid of these individuals.
Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey,
Exactly.
Debo, Ayuk, like
Fred
well, probably
Taylor,
not
I
Ayuk.
mean, even on the defensive side too.
Fred
Like,
Warner, yeah.
Fred Warner, sorry. I keep on saying Fred Taylor.
Bosa,
like,
yeah.
so we'll pay you because quarterback obviously is the most important position in football, but also comes with a risk, and not a risk, a con, because then we're paying you all this money, but we can't pay this. So you can take a pay cut, keep all of these players, and like right now you're making $900,000. We give you 25, even 30,000, 30 million. That's such a big jump, and then next year we can restructure. Or what they can do is do a Patrick Mahomes deal where, since he's young enough, he'll be like, 100 million, or not 100, but like 500 million for 10 years.
Yeah.
So you're still getting 50 million a year. We get 5, and then we can just keep pushing it down and whatnot. So it's gonna be interesting. I can't wait.
There's
for
a
this
lot of
season.
Yeah, there's a lot of headlines and things going on, a lot of stories going on for a lot of different teams. We don't know what the Vikings are going to do with Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy. What do the Falcons do with Kirk Cousins? The Browns they are saying that they're going to stick with Watson. Do they draft a quarterback? It's going to be very, very, very interesting.
The Steelers, what are we doing with our quarterbacks?
Yeah.
Like,
what do you want the Steelers to do?
I want to keep Justin Fields.
And let Russ walk.
Huh? And
let Russ rock. Yeah.
Well, that's what I would like them to do. What's going to happen is we're going to sign Russ. And we probably will leave. We'll probably let Justin walk.
Good thing is, I know Justin Fields has publicly stated, I want to be here in Pittsburgh. So
it's just
that's
like,
good.
I mean, if you think about it, and Hard Knocks is coming out too. So, like, you look at, they always pan in at Russ. But if you look in the background, who do you see? You see Justin Fields always taking notes. Always, literally, like they showed a panel where Russell is first team and he's like going from, and then you see in the background Justin Fields is doing the exact same thing. We would have won the freaking game if Russell Wilson ran like Justin Fields against the Ravens last time. But instead he fucking got flipped and fumbled the ball, and you know what I mean? It's so frustrating. And so the reason I would rather have Justin Fields than Russ is because the reason that we win games is because we don't turn the ball over and we let our defense turn the ball over. I don't remember Justin Fields turning the ball over as much as Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was one thing that I was like, yeah, we didn't make a touchdown, but we didn't turn the ball over, so I'll take the win. But instead, we have Russell Wilson a veteran QB doesn't know how to run out of bounds in the fourth quarter. Like, come on. I think that now that Justin has, like, not calmed down, but got a little bit more, all right, this is what I need to do as a passing quarterback. I need to do this read, all of this other type of stuff. I would love Justin Fields to be our quarterback.
Really, I mean, the only thing in my mind that Justin Fields is missing is deep ball accuracy.
Yeah. You want to say hi?
That's the only thing he's
I
missing.
can see your pants. What's up, you guys?
Hey,
Yeah. I mean, that is true. But then he can also learn from Russ. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
yep.
Have you also heard the rumors that Arthur Smith might be interviewing for head coaching jobs?
What? Well, who would want him? Why would you bring him in as the head coach after what you've seen this season in Pittsburgh?
Hey, our offense has not been the worst.
It is not a good offense.
Yeah.
It's not a good offense. It's pitch left, pitch right, do a play action pass, and throw a little short route to the tight end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That pitch play. What are we doing about that pitch play? Why do we keep running that play?
Trying to run the ball? I have no idea.
It's such a stupid play.
Honestly,
Like,
the play calling, like you said, has been horrendous this whole year. We're 3rd and 1, and then we go for the end zone. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Get to 1 yard and get the first down. Like, it's so frustrating.
I just like when I watch, I think the Steelers run it more than any other team. But when I watch the Broncos run it too, when I watch teams run that play, there's a big chance that they're going to fumble that ball because it's not a pitch out wide. It's like a pitch inside or to the weak side. And like you're looking at the defenders to see where the hole is instead of having the pitch go out wide where you're like looking for space.
Yeah, and it was funny because I saw a TikTok about the Steelers pitch play against the Bengals, and there's like a linebacker that has not been touched. And we're like, we're on week 18. We've run a pitch play at least 10 times a game. At least 10 times a game. And our blockers still don't know who the fuck they're blocking. I mean, who the frick they're blocking.
In practice, it must
What are
be
you
like
doing?
in practice, that play must go for 50 yards every time.
Yeah.
That has to be the only reason they continue to run that play because in real time in games, that play's not working.
I'm telling you, man, the offense just forgets who they're blocking. We have like they did a replay or whatever, and then you're like, there's 2 people on one guy, and then the defender double blocking is fine, but we have 2 people on one guy, and then the defender's running right through the hole. Like, what are we doing? Block, like leave this guy alone, and you're supposed to block. Like it's so frustrating.
I hate it. I hate that play.
Even I mean, honestly, I feel like the Niners. It's going to be interesting to see what they do this offseason. Vikings.
Oh yeah.
The Steelers are also going to be. It's going to be very interesting to see what we do because we also have Najee on his last year of the deal.
Yeah.
So are we going to release him? Are we going to keep him? What are we?
I
Gonna
saw
do?
I saw some Steelers fans want Cam Scatabo,
Who is that?
the ASU running back.
Oh, I like him. He's cool.
That'd be
But then-
interesting.
We're not going to draft a running back. Absolutely no. Because we have Warren. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like so I'm saying, I'm not saying that's good enough, but I'm saying like the Steelers.
I think you gotta
mentality
get-
is like this is what we have.
I think you got to get rid of Cordero Patterson.
That's what. Yeah. Like we got them because like I get in the moment, I understood why they got him. Because of the whole new kickoff rule, and then they're gonna kick
Yeah.
a lot more, and we needed a returner and all this other time. Like I get that, but then now if we're just still doing touchbacks, what
Yeah.
are we? What are we doing? And then we're putting him into the rotation. What team do you know has inputted their third string running back in when both running backs are healthy? We're putting our third string running back in.
I thought it was interesting when Najee got hurt. Was that 2 weeks ago or last week?
Yeah, about Thanksgiving, whatever.
Yeah, and Warren was healthy, Cordero was healthy, and they kind of split the backfield between Warren and Cordero Patterson. I'm like, why?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the Steelers are gonna do. I'm nervous.
Yeah. Let's end the show with a hot take Tuesday.
All right.
So tomorrow we have our Rage Cage. I wanted to save that so that you hear from Nimmer, Darian, and I for the Rage Cage. That is probably my favorite topic that we do. One of all of our favorites for sure. We'll do Hot Take Tuesday today. Nimmer, what is your hot take this week?
All right. So my hot take is that Shador Sanders is going to fall all the way down to like pick 10.
Mm.
Like, have you seen Draft Day with the Cleveland Browns and Bo Cowell?
Oh yeah,
It's gonna.
I've
be
seen
that.
parts of it. I haven't seen the whole thing, but I've seen parts
It's a
of
really
it.
good movie. Before draft, you should look at it. I wonder how accurate it actually is. But I think that people are going to be like Shador Sanders is not a change the franchise type of player. And so I think that teams are going to start realizing it more and more and more once they start seeing tapes. And I don't see Shador Sanders going in the top 10. Maybe to the Raiders. That'll really be the only exception, maybe. But other than that, I don't think that people are going to take a risk on Shador.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Who's at the 10 spot?
I don't know. I actually. Let's see. 2025 draft. All right. So if we go down it with the Titans, let's say they get Cam Ward. Browns, let's say they get. They don't need a quarterback. Giants might need a quarterback. Don't think they'll look at Shador. Shador doesn't.
Raiders
want-
at the 6.
Raiders at the 6. So that would really be the only one. But then let's say the Raiders don't choose him, right? Jets don't think that the Jets are gonna get him. I don't think they're gonna want to draft another quarterback. Panthers don't need a quarterback. Saints might need a quarterback. Bears don't need a quarterback. Niners don't need a quarterback. Cowboys don't need a quarterback. Dolphins don't need a quarterback. Colts don't need a quarterback. Falcons don't need a quarterback. Cardinals don't need a quarterback. Bengals, Seattle, Broncos, Pittsburgh, Texans. So there's really not that many teams that need a quarterback.
Yeah.
So that's it's gonna be.
It's an interesting take. So yours was college. Mine is also college. This might be an even bolder take. I'm going to say that this running back draft class is going to be one of the best all time. I think you look at some of these running backs. Ashton Genty, he leads the way. Everyone knows his name. 2,000 yards this season. Second in the MVP or in the Heisman votes. You also have Quinshawn Judkins from Ohio State, Travion Henderson from Ohio State. They both combined for 20 touchdowns at Ohio State. Omarion Hampton from North Carolina. He had like 1,500 yards this season. Cam Scatabo from ASU. Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma State. Devin Neal from KU. I really, really, really like Devin Neal. Caleb Johnson from Iowa. Nicholas Singleton from Penn State. I think all of these guys, all of them are going to be very, very good in the NFL. We're talking 8, 9 running backs right there. So I'm going to say this draft class for running backs is going to be one that we will remember. We'll look back at the 2025, that's weird to say, draft class, and we'll say, man, the running backs that came out of that class, that was a great class for running backs.
Yeah, I could see that. Especially now because the running back window is usually their rookie contract, and then maybe they sign like a 2-year contract. So like people are really gonna start fighting over these running backs.
Yeah, and it's resurged, the running back position.
Mhm.
It's like it matters more now than it had in the past couple of years. It really is a difference maker now.
Plus, it's the trend to have a dual threat running back, to have
Mhm.
that Sonic and Knuckles type of backfield. So I could definitely see that.
I'm really interested to see some of those names. I'm really interested to see where they go. Like everyone has Ashton Genty going to the Cowboys. I feel like that just makes too much sense, and the Cowboys aren't going to do that.
Do you think he's gonna fall that low though?
Yeah, that's another thing is like, how is he going to get to, I think they're in the 12 spot or something like that. How is he going to get to that
they're
point?
in 12. The Bears can pick him up.
Even if he's there,
lineman.
even if he's there, I just feel like the Cowboys are idiots. Jerry Jones will pick someone, and his son, Stephen Jones, they'll pick someone else. They'll pick like an offensive, like a center or like another D tackle or something stupid. But I'm really interested to see where Genty goes
Giants.
because
You think he'll go Giants, or the Giants are
Yeah.
getting quarterback no matter what?
they could use a running back. I like Tracy, but I think they need someone who's a pure running back. We're going to talk about the draft tomorrow, so I don't want to give too much away on that. But some of these other running backs, I'm really interested to see where they go. I really, really hope the Broncos pick Devin Neal. I hope they address some of the major concerns you have up front in the first round with like a tight end or like maybe an inside linebacker. Maybe you address that in the first round. And then like round 4, round 3, maybe that's where Devin Neal is. I would love for them to pick up Devin Neal from KU. I think that would be awesome. Caleb Johnson from Iowa, I think he's going to be a very big player in the NFL. He's got really good size for running back, and he's very good. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. Ollie Gordon, he had a really, really good year last year. This year, not so great, but I think a team will probably pick him high just because of the year that he had the year before. Cam Scatabo, I mean, who doesn't want this guy on their NFL team? You know, like he's going to be interesting wherever he goes. Everyone's going to have their eyes on him. Omarion Hampton from North Carolina. I haven't watched a ton of him, but I know he's got a lot of talent. And Henderson from Ohio State. Everyone's got their eyes on Judkins. I really like Henderson. I'd really be interested to see where Henderson ends up. Nicholas Singleton from Penn State. You've seen some of the running backs that Penn State has put into the league. Saquon Barkley, Miles Sanders, Nicholas Singleton is next. So
It is going to be more of a running back class. I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah, I think last year you had all those quarterbacks go in the first round. 2 years ago, you had a bunch of like interior linemen and defensive linemen. I think this year is going to be the year of the running back. I think it's going to be a really interesting year for running backs, and there's really really good skill guys everywhere. Outside of the running back position, Ime Abuka from Ohio State, the wide receiver, he's coming into this year's draft.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he should be a number one or a first round pick. Travis Hunter, really interesting to see where he goes. Sometimes I wonder if he's going to be the guy that drops. Interestingly enough, just because like the whole
Yeah.
I want to play both sides, and sure he's immensely talented, but like if no one really thinks that he can play both sides, like do you want to deal with that kind of a headache if he's kind of upset that you're not starting him on both sides? Like,
He came out
I
and
don't
said
know.
he wants to play both sides in the pros.
I
Or did
think
he go
he's
with the whole
he did.
relationship thing first.
No, he did. He did. He said he said he can definitely absolutely do it. He could play corner and wide receiver.
Wow.
And I mean, I don't think that's possible. I don't think anyone really thinks that's possible in the NFL.
Yeah. And then the
But-
thing is, I that's another person I think that I can see falling as well, like you said, because do you think he's gonna go to receiver or corner? If he had to choose, what do you think he would choose?
I think longevity, he's a better corner.
And I think I've seen a lot of people say that on the internet as well. And so I think that if he's a corner, corners don't really go that high in the draft.
No.
I don't even know. I mean, what Surtain was a first round pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like maybe he gets in the first round, but if he's gonna be a corner, there's teams that do not. Bengals maybe they
Yeah,
need a corner, but
Last year, I think it was Terrion Arnold, maybe the first corner. It was either Terrion Arnold or Mitchell from the Eagles. That was
Yeah.
one of the first corners drafted.
I think the Eagles
And they-
took the first one.
And I think he was drafted at like 13, 14. So he was like a mid-round pick.
Yeah, but if he goes to a team like the Raiders, I could definitely see him doing both. You know, or like not the Giants, but like or New England.
Yeah, that's where a lot of people have him going.
So it's like, why can't I can see him going both ways for New England? They need a receiver, so why not put him as a receiver? I don't think he's gonna do that well in the pros, honestly. I really don't see Travis Hunter doing well in the pros. But that's just
I think he's gonna be good. Shador, though, I think he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be average.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see. Hopefully, he doesn't put up 5,000 yards one of the years, and I look like an idiot. So, I just don't see that happening with him. I think he has skill, Shador. I think he has skill playing the quarterback position, reading defenses, but he's not the most mobile guy. He doesn't weigh a lot, so he's probably going to get thrown around a lot. He's already had some injuries in college. He's honestly, I mean, you look at this last game against BYU, you look at that tape like, do you really want to take him at the 2 spot? Are you sure you want to do that?
He's not
You
the
look
most
at-
accurate quarterback. I mean, it's just always good.
You look at like the game tape with BYU this past season, Nebraska, Kansas, the season before that. You look at the tape at I mean, they lost to a bunch of teams last year. I just don't know. I just don't know if I'd be super confident in drafting him that high.
And
Like
the
it-
thing, go ahead.
Is he worth like a mid-round to like 20 and on pick? I think so. Is he worth a top 10 pick? I don't think so.
Yep. That's why it was my hot take because I can't see him going top. But I think the Raiders are stupid enough to draft him. So that high.
I think
should
I
say.
think if he was there, I think the Raiders would take him.
Yeah. But my thing is like Nebraska. I mean, I wonder how many defensive players are coming from Nebraska from the draft. One maybe, if not late round. There's nobody in the top rounds. What about BYU?
Definitely not in the top rounds. No.
Yeah. Is BYU in the top rounds?
No.
And so those two alone may completely shut Shador down.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about the pros, where these are guys
Kansas.
are professional. Kansas is another one.
Yeah.
These guys are pros. They've been in the league, veterans in the league. They're not just some people that are gonna go work at insurances or coach some high school team or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah. But that is it from us. Tomorrow we will talk to you we'll give you our first mock draft. We'll go through the first 5 picks. Me, Darian, and Nimmer will give you our predictions on what teams are going to do what there, if there's going to be any trades or anything like that. That'll be our D&D mock draft 1.0, just the first 5 picks. Maybe we'll come out with another one. You know, if you've ever seen a mock draft, there's 1 to 3 or 4. So this will be our first edition. We'll talk about Aaron Rodgers, if he's going to retire or not, and anything that pops up throughout the day. Tomorrow, a lot of news happened today. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more news tomorrow. Nimmer, you have anything before we get out of here?
Nope. I hope everybody has a great Tuesday night.
Congratulations, Hook. We had you at the start of the show. Hope if you're still listening, I hope you enjoy your win. We're going to Louisville, Kentucky. Would have never thought I would be in Louisville, Kentucky, but that's what this fantasy draft is about. If you win the league, you get to pick where we're going. Hook picked Louisville, Kentucky. There's a nice river close to
Bourbon
Louisville,
Trail.
Kentucky. There's the Bourbon Trail, which I'm a big fan of bourbon. So, and for Darian, maybe we'll talk to him about what he's going to be doing tomorrow, but he was the final loser of our league. So he has to do the punishment. He'll fill you in on that tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good night.